Have you ever wanted to be a dragon? To spew fire for several seconds onto groups of enemies? Well, what if I told you there was a way to do exactly that? At least in classic WoW anyway.
Taboo!
Some of you may have heard about the Dragonbreath chili before. Something cooks with a skill of 200 or more can make. It's a food that gives you the chance to occasionally belch flame at enemies struck in melee for the next 10 minutes. Note that you had to be level 35 or above to eat this food. There are several things to this food that makes it very good. First of all, even though it's from a food, it's not counted as a well-fed buff. Actually, it's even counted as a poison buff. Second of all, it hits all targets in front of you. Third, it has a fixed proc chance, so the percentage does not depend on your weapon speed. And fourth, it's affected by spell power. It might not be obvious why these things are so good, so allow me to explain. As this buff counts as a poison buff, which probably is the only one of its kind, you can still have this, a food buff, and on top of that, you can still have things like poison, weapon oils or wind fury buff on your weapon. If you really want to deal fiery damage, you could enchant a weapon with the fire enchant, get the flame tongue totem buff from a shaman, and eat this food. That's a lot of fire. That this being an AoE spell is a good thing is quite obvious. Note, however, that the targets have to be in front of you to get hit. Also, try and avoid breaking sheeps and other forms of crowd control with fire effect. A fixed proc chance is somewhat of a double-edged sword. For classes using two fast one-handed weapons, that's something great. For classes using one slow two-hander, it's a bad thing. This means that Fury Warriors, Rogues and Shamans with Wind Fury should be especially interested in this. Something I really need to check out but haven't been able to yet is whether the Whirlwind from Ravager also can prog it. That would be crazy. Anyone within that vortex of pain and fire would experience agonizing pain. And if you really don't know when enough is enough, you could grab the Flame Tongue weapon buff, the fire enchants, this Dragonbreath chili, and just unleash full mayhem on anything close to you. Wouldn't that be fun? Anyway, this buff's damage is also affected by spell power, so if you slam on some spell power gear, it will do more damage. It is, for all I know, counted as an instant spell, meaning it gets a coefficient of something like 0.4 times your spell power. Also, it can crit.
Gee man, that sounds neat. Where can I find this recipe?
Luckily, there are 3 vendors in game selling this recipe. 2 of them, Helena Oiden for the Alliance and Ogmar for the Horde, are found in Dustwallow Marsh. Both have an infinite supply of these recipes. A third vendor selling this is the Super Seller 680 in Desolace. This one is, however, a rare vendor with a limited stock, so there are no reasons trying to obtain it that way.
Great. Where can I farm the mats?
The mystery meat is dropped from all kinds of beasts in the world and is very cheap on the auction house. The hot spices can be bought from trade supplies vendors or something like that at least. The small flame sack is, however, not as easy. There aren't too many mobs dropping these, and the small flame sacks are also used for crafting the fire protection potion. Note that's not the same as the greater fire protection potion. This one is different. Well, I mean, it's basically the same, but it's weaker, so most people don't buy it. But anyway, the following mobs all have a drop chance of 20% or more to drop this small flame sack, according to Classic WoW had. The Sprite dragons, level 47 to 50 in Northern Feralas with a 27% drop rate. The Dreaming Whelps, level 35 to 36 in Swamp of Sorrows with a 24% drop rate. The Flamesnorting Whelps in Wetlands, level 26 to 27 with a 23% drop rate. The Adolescent Whelps, level 34 to 35 in Swamp of Sorrows with a 21% drop rate. The Sprite Daughters, level 43 to 45 with a 20% drop rate in Central Feralas. There are also the Eldrith Daughter outside the Daramal instances, level 58 to 59 elite with about 47% drop chance. There are more mobs dropping these, but they are below 20% drop rate. Link to the full list on Classic Wowhead is in the description. On the EU server Shazra, the small flame sacks go for about 90 silver on the auction house, making this a somewhat expensive food buff. But I'd still consider it well worth it to go out and farm the mats. Under some circumstances, this can be a nice boost to your damage, and regardless of that, it's probably one of the coolest spells in Classic. I mean, that fire just never stops coming. So anyways, I hope you feel like getting some of this poisonous food, running to a nearby instance and burning the whole place to the ground, as that is exactly what this food allows you to do. And deep down, I think that's what everyone really wants. I hope you found this video entertaining and maybe learned something new. Like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more.